We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
And welcome once again to another fantastic Tuesday. I am your host, Tyrone Glover, the dressed down CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery, thanking you for, as always, being part of what we do here, which is help you leverage your score, giving you the most up-to-date information about how you can do what you need to do to get that credit score to that next level. And it's always a great pleasure to have you with us as always. As I always equally like to share, if you haven't already, please do go ahead, grab that device and invite one person and tell that person to invite another person. This is how we get that word out. This is how we get the news out that there are fantastic things going on in the world of credit and what you can do to combat some of these situations that are now ongoing. And we're all talking about inflation. How do we get past some of these conversations that bring a lot of value, but are they really adding up to the things that we need as far as that value? So it's really important that you tune into these shows. These are educational shows. They help you with understanding all of the importance of how you can get through these next couple of, whether it be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 8 weeks, a month, year, 2, whatever time frame it is, that you can get through it financially almost unscathed if you take care of some of these responsibilities. And I know it's very challenging to do that. I know it's really, really challenging. But again, having shows like this with diehards, I'm talking about individuals who are committed to your success. And this is what we're going to be talking about. Your success is what we're looking for. Your success. How committed are you to your success? Because we are committed to your success. And that's why we do what we do when it comes to leveraging your score right here on Soul City Network. So as always, thank you. And if you haven't already, give that creator, give him a shout out. If you haven't told the good man who makes it every way possible for you to get up in the morning, for you to make your way through here's and there's and the comings and goings, if you haven't thanked him, it's now a great opportunity to do that. But as I always say, knowing how you are prepared for upcoming financial situations is the best way to get in front of them. If you're not prepared, I believe my colleague Yana says it the best. If you haven't a plan to fail, you definitely have a plan. Or excuse me, if you don't have a plan to succeed, you definitely have a plan to fail. It's just that simple. And we want to make it easier for anyone looking or seeking to get out of their financial binds, financial constraints, financial hardships, these things that are making it even more and more difficult. We want to help you get out of those things. And this is what these shows are all about. Leveraging your score helps you leverage a lot more opportunities that are going to come your way, because if you can take care of those financial mishaps, if you can get in front of those now, and it's shocking to tell you that a lot of our mishaps are not even our problem. As with the January 6th hearing, you probably are, if you are listening, I'm glad. If you aren't listening, but there's be some things that you might want to dive into. But just really quick, when it comes to those hearings, uncovering a lot of information. And this is what these shows here do as well. They uncover a lot of things that we are unsure about, things that we don't know about, to make them clearer so that when we do venture out there into the world of understanding of how do we secure and maintain a financial balance within our lifestyles, we'll have the right tools and the right strategies. All right, so let's dive on into it. We're going to be Think Unlimited. Think Unlimited is a new concept that I just brought out. It was something that as I was putting together the presentation today, it just popped up and I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. That's perfect. It fit right in perfectly. It uses a play on words. Obviously, Y can be used as an I, or I can be used as an Y, but I really wanted us to really think unlimited. Think about the untouchable things that you probably maybe not even thought about, that you have maybe even pondered around or not, or whatever the case may be. I want you to think unlimited. I want you to get out of the box of thinking, and I want you to think unlimited, taking this nation's financial failures. And there's a lot of them. There are a lot of nations, this nation's financial failures. We want to take these financial failures and we want to turn them into your financial successes. That's it. That's what Think Unlimited is all about. It's about taking this nation's failures when it's come to blacks, when it comes to brown, when it comes to Middle Eastern, when it comes to Asian, when it comes to, it doesn't really matter what your ethnicity, when it comes to the citizens of these United States. We clearly know that there has been some fiascos in a lot of these financial decisions that have been made that has more or less ultimately impacted us. And when it comes to your credit, what you don't know is causing you the most harm. And that's what I'm here to do, set the record straight, put you on a straight and narrow as to how you can, either with credit cards, without credit cards, just understanding the dynamics that play into all of this. If you know what you know, you're going to succeed. It's just that simple. If you don't know, then you're going to need someone like a coach. You're going to need someone like an expert. You're going to need someone who can navigate you through these particulars to prevent some of these mishaps. And it's just that, I'm going to say it's just that serious, and it is also equally just that simple. And I want you all, everyone who can hear me, everyone who can understand me, everyone who's within reach of a device that you can send that information out to one person. The problem that I'm seeing within the community is that there's no true unity within the community. There is, and we're all running in circles trying to find whatever relief, and I'm not quite sure what that relief looks like for every single person. But I can tell you right now, if we just band together, if we just take it chunk by chunk by chunk by chunk, piece by piece by piece by piece, we'll be able to get to exactly where we need to. I'm going to make this my last point here. The young Democrats, along with the old Democrats, y'all either get together or you're going to see another 2 years of Joe Biden not having, another 2 cycles of another Democratic president not having the ability to move forward with his processes. And this ties equally into that. All right. So young Democrats, old Democrats, you're going to need each other. Get on board. Like I said, we're going to think unlimited. All right. Taking this nation's financial failures and turning them into your financial successes. All right. So I always have to give you my breakdown. I'm an expert in this area because why am I an expert? I'm gonna tell it to you. I have colleagues who look at me who have doctorates, who have much higher education than I do, and they come to me for my credit knowledge because that's all I focus on. I'm a fanatic in the credit world. I love this piece of it because it's the piece that literally creates that foundation. It allows for you to have a solid foundation. 3 little piggies. That's all you got to remember. 3 little piggies. Huff and pluff, blow your house down. All right. But the 3 little piggies, as them houses were being blown down, each one of those previously mentioned 3 little pigs, they had a foundation, but that foundation wasn't secure enough to hold up the walls. So that's why their house got blown down. All right. Yes, it did matter. Did they use straw? Did they use wood? Did they use brick? Absolutely. That all matters. No question. But how is it secured firmly to that foundation? All right. So I always got to give my little in because that's what makes us the experts. How do we assess, analyze what's overall going on out there when it comes to our financial situation? And it's glim. It's beyond recognizable, but yet it's still recoverable. That's the part that's really so alarming, because I see so many and I hear so many and I discuss so many situations, but we're not getting out of our own way to do what is necessary. That's it right there, getting out of our own way. If we stop shopping for one full day, if you just get your necessities, you will send, and I'm just talking primarily about black and brown. That's what I'm talking about, primarily black and brown individuals who are the burden bearers of a lot of these financial issues that I'm referring to. But if they just stop shopping for one day, it would send the stock market in a whirlwind. I mean, it would send everything going upside down. Like, people would want to talk to you at that point. They would want to negotiate. They would want to handle with you. But we got to understand our role. So now, the problem is, and it's time for us to decide, do we want financial independence? Because if you don't, it's okay. It's perfectly fine. If you don't want financial independence and you want to deal with whatever comes your way without being financially secured, that's fine. But I'm now talking to those who want financial independence. You got to know what it is first and foremost. Financial independence is when you can live the quality of life you deserve without having to work any longer. All right? Without having to work any longer or without having to work any harder. To achieve financial independence, it is a good idea to start saving and investing early. So if you haven't done that, again, it's a good idea to start doing that early. If you haven't done it, then that means you have to start doing it. All right? It's also often required setting up a long-term strategy and sticking to it. That's it. That's financial independence. It's not that it's challenging and it's requiring you to go out and get 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8 other opportunities or employment opportunities or jobs. No, it's requiring some of the basic things that we do every single day when we get up to go to our 9 to 5s. All right. So while that's up there, I'm going to read the next one. Regulatory compliance and enforcement. Regulatory compliance and enforcement. This is the 90 percentile item that is creating the most havoc on every single consumer known to man, right there. Regulatory compliance and enforcement, because we don't have the government officials, we don't have the local officials, state officials, whatever, wherever you want to quantify it to whomever gets whatever blame and so forth and so on. This is the problem. They're not doing what they were entrusted to do. When big business gets so big that our regulatory bodies who make their income or some of their resources off of allowing them to operate by investing in them on a private level, you're never going to get the regulatory compliance that you're supposed to. And the enforcement, you can forget about that. But let's read into what that means. The proper execution of the process of ensuring compliance with laws, regulations, rules, standards, and social norms. It's not going on in the manner in which it was supposed to, in which it was more or less thought up of how do we take care of the overall population with these balances that doesn't allow companies to get away with bloody murder and also allowing citizens to prosper as they venture off into whatever realm of this area in which we're discussing regulatory compliance and enforcement. And there's a lot of it in your consumer goods, in your healthcare, in your employment, all right, in your transportation. There's all these regulatory issues that go on so that you, the consumer, won't be hindered or put in jeopardy. The enforcement comes once they have overtly and obliviously ruined every opportunity for you. It doesn't hurt them because I say it over and over and over. Businesses have means of protecting themselves. We as consumers should have these means, but unfortunately we don't, because the regulatory compliance and enforcement, guess what? It's fallen short, and it's fallen short in so many areas. And until we get a grasp, until we get a hold, until we get literally the understanding of how we want this to more or less pan out or at least benefit us, Then we have to find individuals who don't mind putting foot to hind parts. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm giving you the problem. And if you agree with my problem, my analysis of the problem, hopefully we can get together and we can form some form of unity, synergy, the division that I just spoke about within our communities, because there is no unity. We need to get that unity back. Once we start doing these things, we can start enforcing that regulatory compliance and making sure that the enforcement fits not just the crime, but it fits also who has been impacted by the crime. All right, and then proper reporting. This is another one that has hampered this understanding. If you're going to comply with something, and if you're going to enforce it, then you need to make sure that it's being reported properly so that all parties can understand that these are the things that go with these understanding. Credit is about how one views you in a report that you almost have zero say-so in, other than the 5 components that you do on a regular basis. You have almost zero input, almost zero, other than those 5 things. You got to remember, these businesses are using high-tech weaponry to do what? To manipulate your understanding of how this reporting process is supposed to go. And again, as I said, it ties right into the regulatory compliance and enforcement. They're not going to enforce the things that they're supposed to enforce. Everything that's being reported clearly isn't factual, nor is it true. Clearly, it's not accurate. And that's the number one thing that falls within the compliance and regulatory pieces of consumer acts when it comes to financial products and services. Accuracy. And if we're not going to be accurate, then clearly we're not going to get the desirable outcomes. And that's what I want of us to understand. That's the problem. Do you want to be financially independent? If you do, you're going to have to demand upon any institution that you're working with or working for, or again, doing anything with, that they are regulatory that they are complying with the understanding of how their best practices work, and that we have enforcers to make sure that they are enforcing every single time they overstep their grounds. And then proper reporting. This goes with that credit piece. It goes with it. If it's not accurate, it's not correct. If it's not properly put into a context in which you can understand it and challenge whatever you may not understand, then it's not going to be to your benefit. It's going to be more to your detriment. So therein lies the problem, right there. Right there. I said it and I'm sticking to it. So what are some solutions? So leverage credit recovery aims to bridge the gap between consumers' current financial condition and consumers' financial knowledge. That's what we are here for. We're here to make sure that the current conditions in which you find yourself are equally suitable to your financial knowledge. The conditions currently as they are, no, there is no balance. Your knowledge is way down here, and their profitability and everything is even off the charts. I can't even put my hands close enough to get that's how far the imbalance is. We're here to make that bridge connect. We're here to give you a lot more leverage. Again, our whole process, our whole company name was devised around leverage, giving individuals the leverage. Businesses did not start because they just came through whatever means they had leverage. Every company today that you think about had leverage. They had some form of leverage. That's why we designed strategically this understanding about how we're going to approach every bit when it comes to helping you, the consumer. Creating a business mindset for you is what you need to understand. You're a consumer, and they love that word when they use it. You commerce. And businesses, they thrive off it. If the pandemic hasn't taught you anything, it should have taught you one thing. Businesses will take advantage of every situation that they can. And you are just a situation for them. So making sure that we can bridge that gap. Financial literacy is part of that gap. If you're not financially literate on the institutions and how they operate, you're already behind the 8 ball. It's just that simple. All right. So what is financial literacy? An investment strategy of using borrowed money significantly the use of various financial instruments or borrowed capital to increase the potential return on an investment. Now, that sounds like a whole bunch of blah, blah, blah. It's just the management of money. It's teaching you how to put that money to best use for you, either now, tomorrow, or into the future. Not just for you, but for those you are leaving behind. Not saying that you're going to demise or that you're going to be gone, but again, if you have nephews and nieces like I do, which I love every single last one of them, and I want to make sure that their parents are making sure that their futures are secure. We got all these pox coming up. We got monkey pox, and then we got the next COVID, whatever version it's decided to morph into. So there's going to be a lot more diseases out there and situations out there. But if we do our part financially, we're not going to be hampered by whatever might potentially harm us if we don't have all the other safeguards like health insurance, like a great job that covers our daycare or those after school types of situations where moms and dads have to work a little bit longer. But if we're financially secure, we can offset those costs. We can make it feasible, but we got to be financially literate and able to do that. Time management, not finding the time. This whole finding the time notion does not apply any longer. You're not going to be able to find time. If you can find time, then you're going to be a multi-gazillionaire, because you've now tapped into an area where we don't know how to tap into, and that's called finding time. You can't find time. You cannot find time. Finding time is almost unimaginable to find. You have to make the time. So here's what this means. The coordination of task and activity to maximize the effectiveness of an individual's effort. The coordination of task and activity to maximize the effectiveness. Okay, task and activity. Football, basketball, task and activity. All right, tasks and activities. That's what we want. We want task and activity. If you think of any sport, these are tasks, and they have an activity to perform in order to make that basket, make that goal. I mean, it's all tied in, and if you use the same understandings, guess what you're going to get? You're probably going to get, most likely, some of the same desirable outcomes. Winning teams. Who doesn't want to be on a winning team? So time management plays out significantly. You have to make the time. You cannot just attempt to find this time. It's not going to happen. So the purpose of time management is enabling people to get more and better work done in less time. That's it. I want to make sure that you are able to maximize it. We're going to do some challenge letters that need to get out there. Again, make that time to orchestrate that in a 1 week, 2 week time frame. Boom, knock it out, done. If you're going to make time to budget yourself, whatever time frame that you need on a Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, an hour, 2 hours. Again, we have to start managing these times just like a business does with its time. A business is open from this time to that time, and in this time to that time, they have to bring in a certain amount of revenue. If they don't, that means the following day they have to either cut back staff or they have to sell more merchandise to make up for what they lost the previous day. If they do that, guess what's going to be fine? They've managed that time properly. They've navigated themselves right back into a profitability. All right, so once they navigate themselves back into a profitable understanding, guess what they're able to do? They're able to manage that time properly, and then they're able to move forward to the next day. And that's what businesses do. They manage that time, they manage that money, they do everything that they need to do in an effective way. And I'm going back to, again, the coordination of task and activity. Task and activity. Managing it properly will maximize the effectiveness of the individual's efforts. It's really not that hard. It's actually pretty easy because you're doing it every single day. When you got to catch that train, when you got to catch that subway, when you got to catch that bus, if you're driving to work, knowing the traffic conditions. All right, we're managing our time properly. Why are we applying the same principle to our finances? And that's where the coach like myself comes in to help you navigate that time properly. And then a cost effective. Nobody wants to go out there and spend and not really see the benefit of the return in that investment. And if you are that person, great for you. Again, hey, if it works for you, it's worked for you. That's good. It might not work for everybody, but cost effective, making sure that we're finding strategies that work most effectively for our situations. And if we have strategies that work most effectively for our situations, guess what happens? They work out. They work out. Not only do they work out for us, but they work out to our advantage. And we end up spending much less money on attempting to get to where we need to be. All right. So again, what is cost effective? What does it look like? How does it all sound? Producing good results without costing a lot of money. That's all we're doing. Producing good results that will not cost us a lot of money. And if you're able to do that, guess what happens? You're able to then finally see, wow, my money's now working for me. And that's ultimately what we want. We want our money working for us. We want our financial situations working for us. We want as much of a profitable understanding working for us, because then it allows us to say, well, hey, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is feasible. That's what these United States of America was thought of: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is going to get you there. These are the solutions that I see that would help remedy a lot of what we are currently feeling when it comes to how we're managing our money. All right, money costs, let's go back to that. Producing good results without costing a lot of money, effective measures to combat poverty. Robust spot welding can be quite cost effective. All right. All right. So again, just thinking of different ways to do certain things. That's all it is. Thinking of different ways to do certain things and keeping that cost as effective as feasible. And once we start doing that, I'm telling you, there are ways out there where you can do that. There are multiple avenues. It doesn't have to be that you're coming out of pocket, deep out of pocket, and you're jeopardizing your financial sanity. I'm going to put it out there. Yes, you're jeopardizing your financial sanity by thinking that these things are out of touch, out of range. All of the understandings that you need to have, that you should be getting in the earlier stages of educational or academic settings, which we're not, but that's another topic for another day. Those of us in the world today, in our financial situations today, there's your solution. There's your solution right there. We already addressed the problem. We're now talking about the solution. If you follow these things, I'm telling you right now, the what you're seeking, what you're expecting will be there. Not only will it be there for you now in these most definite struggling and trial times that we're dealing with currently, and they'll also be there after we get through whatever it is that this is supposed to be called. Is it going to be a recession? Is it going to be a more inflation? Is interest rates going to go up? I'm going to tell those of you who are within that 500, 600, 700 credit score range, don't put that on your plate too much. It's monetary policies, and as you already know, we have nothing to do with monetary policies, but I can tell you right now, if you stop shopping, you stop spending, if you stop using the wrong financial tools to do your commercing, I'm telling you right now, you're going to find yourselves in deeper and deeper. But if you listen to us who really are in it for your success, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You're going to get out of it. You're going to find out that it's going to benefit you. You're going to start figuring out a repetitive pattern that you can do over and over and over and over and over. It's going to be something that you're going to want to teach your kids. It's going to be something that they're going to want to teach their kids. It's going to be something that you're going to want to teach your neighbors, your family members, every single person that is within the sound of my voice. This is something that you're going to want to do over and over and over and over and over and over. All right. So let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. How to build credit without a credit card. Think unlimited. All right. We aim to be the go-to provider for cost-effective financial knowledge and solutions. That's what we do. That's why we do what we do. We want you to think unlimited. Don't let nothing get in front of you again. Why? If you can think it up, you probably can do something that would resolve it. And if you can't resolve it, then you should be partnering with those. Again, it's the question. And through questions comes solutions. And I think all the time I come together with other great minds and we put our heads together to come up with more and more ways of being able to solve financial issues. And the one financial issue that I'm constantly going to be working on is, again, allowing individuals to profit from their ability to have fantastic credit, whether you're traveling, whether you're buying a car, whether you're buying a house, whether you're getting a new credit product. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Governments are giving money away at almost zero. And these institutions are getting it and they're charging you 18, 19, 20, 24%. If you're in that lower threshold of 2 and 3, you're good. You're golden. But if you got a 700 or 800 score and you're still paying 13 and 15%, you need someone like me to help you navigate better terms and conditions. That's all it is. And that's why we're thinking unlimited. All right, so here are these things that you really have to pay attention to. And it's always going to be, this is where that history, that's no mystery right there. Credit score factors, payment history, amount owed, which is also called your utilization, credit length of history. This is another one that's a brilliant area that you must pay attention to, because if you've been around for 30, 40 years, you've been using credit for 15 or 20 of them. Why do you have only 5 years on your credit history? 7 years is what they're looking for. 7 years puts you in that category of having a stellar credit profile. But you got to get to that 7 years. And I'm going to talk to you briefly about how do we get you to that 7 years if you don't have the means to do it. All right, so this wheel, this so-called pie, it's not a wheel yet, but it's normally a wheel. I just broke it into another format so that you can get a good understanding of how this all applies. When you are building credit, one of the most popular strategies is to responsibly manage your credit cards, but isn't entirely possible to build credit without a credit card. All right, so it is possible, and there are some ways that I'm going to show you what you can do. Your credit score is based on the responsible credit management of all of the credit accounts. The score is a 3-digit number that represents your credit risk. All right, so here are the 5 factors that impact your credit most. And that 3-digit number, again, it's something that's been mathematically designed by businesses to, again, is it something that's legitimate? Probably yes. But about that much. Because of what I talked about earlier, the regulatory bodies not doing what they're supposed to. Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian has been exposed to so many malfeasance, so many shenanigans, so many of the most egregious overreaches. But yet they're still operating. Some of these banks equally doing some of the most egregious things when it comes to your information, but yet they're still operating. So that's why I want you to really start paying attention to, again, how am I paying? Is my payment history up to standards? Payment history represents 35% of your overall FICO score. 35, that means, am I paying things on time? If you're paying things on time, should they not be reported properly? If I'm paying on the 5th, should it not report that I'm paying on the 5th? Or should they wait till the 18th or the 24th? It's a very legitimate question that a regulatory body would be able to sufficiently say, yes, that's we want accuracy. That's accurate. And if they're not doing it, then should you not benefit from their failures? Utilization. Your utilization rate is measured of the most amount that you still have as far as a balance on your card. That weighs 30% of your overall credit score. All right, if you're bringing down your balance, if you maxed out and you brought your balance down, shouldn't that be reported on the exact same time frame in which you made your payment? Or should they be allowed to wait 25, 30 days later, or maybe even into the next month, and then report it as you're using your product? So you brought it down, now you're using your product, and they're going to decide, oh, you know what? Well, it's high enough now. Now we're going to report it. Contractually, that's inaccurate. contractually, they haven't done what they're supposed to do. So they now are in violation of your consumer rights. It's just that simple. Your length of credit, as I just told you, 7 years is where they start looking at you and going, okay, this person's got good financial history. They got a lot of history within that 7-year time frame. That's 15 points. If I'm looking at 65 from the first two, which as I told you, 35 is from here, your payment history, and 30 is from your utilization. Then you got to get another 15. So I'm at 65, add another 5 to that, 70, add another 10 to that, I'm at 80. I'm at 80 points. 80 points. If I get that whole 15, more than likely, I'm not going to get that whole 15 because, again, I keep telling you, we're dealing with businesses. These businesses are about making money. If you're not making them money, they're going to find some way to make your money work harder for them than you are doing it for you. All right, so these are 3 important areas that you must make sure are being reported properly. And if they're not being reported properly, you need to get on that phone, you need to get on that horn, and you need to be telling somebody, hey, you're not reporting my stuff properly. And that's where, again, the regulatory bodies come in play. Because if they're not doing it, you give them the opportunity once, you give them the opportunity twice, and then you reach right out to that regulatory body and you let them know, I've done my due diligence with acknowledging it with the companies that are not doing their pieces, and now I need you to step in. And here's my documents to show. You got to have that documents, all right? Credit mix is like a salad. I like spinach, but I do like a lot of carrots and corn, and I'll put some jalapenos. I'll throw some chicken on top of there, maybe put a few raisins or craisins, and then I'll drop some crunchy stuff on there. But again, that's the mix. This is your credit mix. You got to have a mix, and that mix is going to require student loans. It's going to require loans. It's going to require credit cards, auto loans, lines of credit. And I'm going to be talking about some of these, and these are those ways in which you can do it without credit cards. But again, this is your mix. The better mix you have, the better it looks to creditors. And the majority of us, unfortunately, we're going to only be using that credit card mix, but that's perfectly fine. But I'm going to introduce to you other ways in which you can build that credit substantially with having a proper mix. And as you can see, that mix requires, or that mix adds up to 10%. So just think about that. I got 65 here. I added a potential another 15 there, which gave me 80. Then I turned around and added another 10 more. That gave me 90. 90%. So if you got a 90 all the time, that's an upwards trajectory. That's an upwards trajectory. That's an upwards trajectory. Understanding how this works, and that's what you always want. Your credit should not be a roller coaster, should not be going up and down, these ebbs and flows that we constantly see, or getting tiny bits of going up and then massive amounts when you do something negative. That's not how it's supposed to work. But they're using high-tech weaponry. E-Oscar is one of those things. E-Oscar. If you don't understand what E-Oscar is, get to know E-Oscar. All right, and then that last and final piece is new credit inquiries. Are you out there asking? If you are, stop it. It makes you look desperate. All right, so that weighs about 10%. So if you took all of that, that's 100%. But as I stated, you're not going to get every ounce from these remaining 3. And they're also trying to make it so you don't even get everything from the beginning too. If you pay on time, there should be nothing else that takes any points away. If you pay that bill on time, I don't give a flying fart nanny about anything else. If you pay that bill on time, should be nothing else that takes away from that. But unfortunately, these businesses have devised it as such. So you got to be careful when you're paying on time. You got to make sure that they're reporting it. Same thing with your utilization. If they're not reporting it, you go out and you use that product after you brought it down. And you turn back around, and this is what they know. They know that the majority of us, soon as we make that payment, we're going to be needing to use that money again. Minimum payment's not going to do it, because by the time you make that payment, the minimum payment, you're only going to have a few cents there. So that's why it's not important, or excuse me, it's not, historically, it's not such a issue. people who have been making minimum payments, they've been waiting 10, 15, 20 days, knowing that it's only $25, so they leave it. Minimum payment means that you paid on time, so that's a good thing. That's a plus. But if you can then a couple of days later make more of a payment to bring down that utilization, but I want people now to understand minimum payment is not going to do it. Make sure that you're bringing down that utilization to a good chunk, which is normally 30%, depending on your credit. We want to make sure that you're bringing it down to the substantial amount that the industry is going to give you that full 30% on, along with that 35. All right. So if you add all of that up, that's 100%. So if you get 100% all the time, that's an upwards trajectory. And think about that in subject. If you got 100% in math, pew. If you got 100% in science, pew. If you got 100% in English, pew. Again, your average stays the same. Should work in this manner when it comes to credit as well. But it's the opposite. We don't want a high average in credit. We want a low utilization, low understanding, so that when they go and add all that up, we have a high credit score. All right. And we're going to go over that many a time because it's super important that you understand that piece of your credit right there. How does these 5 pieces weigh in to that 3-digit number? All right. So here's some things to avoid. Avoid the temptations. Avoid high interest credit cards. All right. Credit cards have a notorious high interest rate. As of 2022, the average credit card interest rate was 16.17. All right, 16.17. You need me more than you know you need me. I can help you negotiate that down. I can help you get to a 3 or a 4. That's going to put money back in your pocket. If you take a 16.7 and you bring it down to a 3 or a 4, you put in 13, 12 percentage points back in your pocket. Imagine doing that for all of your credit cards or all of your credit situations. That's where we, the individuals who speak that language to business folks who, again, you don't speak that language. I've talked about it before. When you go on trips, when you go on these vacations, when you travel amounts wherever. If you go to a foreign destination and you don't have a manual or something to navigate your way around, it's going to be pretty challenging. And if you don't speak the language, it's going to be even more challenging. And that's where these shows come in handy. They help you with identifying, do I even speak that business language? And will I be able to get what I'm seeking if I go out there and not know the business language? And more than likely, you're not going to do that. And making sure that you're speaking to decision makers. 90% of the people that you get on that first dial, they are not a decision maker. All they're doing is blowing smoke. All right, so avoid the high interest rate products. Just because you're going to get some form of a scheme, scam, flim-flam of a percentage back, 2%, 3%. No, again, look, they're charging you 16. That's an average. And they're going to give you 2% back, 3% back? I don't think so. Okay, just be smart, be wise, be savvy. Avoid expensive fees. What are these expensive fees? The annual fees. The late payment fees, the foreign transaction fees, the balance transaction fees, the cash fees, the over limit fees, the return fees. What more fee? How many times can these one entities fee you until there's no more else to fee? This is called penny pinching. They'll fee you to death, along with charging you 18 and 19 and 20%. Along with that, they're going to keep adding more and 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 more fees. And this goes back to what I said earlier about the regulatory bodies. Are they enforcing our understanding of helping us, or are they just giving these individuals more liberty to fee us to death? And it seems as if they're doing the latter. All right, avoid spending to your limit. Because if you don't spend to your limit, guess what it allows you to do? It allows for you to have it easier to bring down that utilization. If you're allocating your product specifically to certain tasks, you won't have this over limit spending situation. An over limit, when you open a credit card, the issuer will determine a spending limit based on your income and other factors. In some cases, the spending limit relatively high when compared to the regular monthly spending. So we want you to be really, really careful when it comes to your spending. You don't need to go out there and spend. Allocate your cards to certain activities. Will keep that utilization low. Will allow for you to, again, if you max out, you want to bring it back down. If you allocated a $500 card to your groceries and you know you only spend $490, again, when that next round comes from groceries, you're going to take whatever comes in. You're going to already pay it down. You're going to pay it down well below that 30% because it's only going to look that much better when your creditors look at it, and you're going to do that for all of your cards. You're going to do that for every single one of your cards. If it's easier for you to allocate them to, if you don't have, as I stated, we're going to be talking about that in just a few seconds. If you don't have credit cards, here are going to be some great ways of you being able to make credit work for you. But these are just some of those things that you want to avoid while you're looking, while you're building, while you're replenishing your financial knowledge. All right, so accounts that build credit without credit cards. Now, I know a lot of people go, well, is that even possible? Absolutely. And what I'm getting ready to show you is going to help you with being able to, if you're one of those individuals, if you've already maxed out your situation and you're still uncertain or unsure, this can help you too. If you think there's no way, I got all of these derogatories, all these negatives on my account, and I'm not going to be able to do that, this is where we come in. And you're going to have to get up off your hiney parts. We talk about those who already have great financial situations. You can be an additive. You can be a plus. You can help out so many people just by sharing this information and also by lending some of your services. Get paid to do. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that as well. All right, so if you aren't interested in getting a credit card, there are other account types which can help you build credit. All right, easy. I do all the legwork. I make it easy for you to go out there and get what you want. You just gotta put in the work. I'll do all the legwork. I'll do all of the legwork with making sure that everything that you are looking for is there. You put in the work. I got you. All right, so card loans would be a great way to build credit without a credit card. It's an installment payment. It goes to a different form of your mixes. It's a payment that's going to be paid on a regular basis. And as I told you before, if you're making your payments on time, that's all you really need to worry about when it comes to your car payment, because that's an installment. It stays the same every single month. Also, if you get a car, you're going to have insurance tied to it. Make sure that those companies that you're dealing with are equally reporting it to the various reporting agencies. This is one of the biggest problems that I've already seen, is that we have a lot of companies that are not reporting it to the reporting agencies. They're only reporting it to one or two, or they're not reporting it at all. And we need to demand upon anyone that we're borrowing from or we're doing any type of financial transactions with, we need to demand upon them that they're reporting both. We don't want you just reporting the negative. We want you reporting both the positive and the negative. And if they're only reporting one, we're going to have a problem with that. Your student loans, as everyone is being felt and dealt the student loan situation. If you are not in a forbearance right now, you need to get yourself into forbearance. Forbearance is basically saying that you are in a financial situation where you cannot make your payments at present, and you are asking for them to delay or put those in a more like a hiatus type of situation until your financial situation improves. That's all it is. Forbearance, speak to your provider. They will take care of it. They'll do all of the necessary work. But if for whatever reason you are unsure what to do, please reach out. I'm not an expert in that area, but I would definitely point you in the right direction of those who can. Get yourself a forbearance if you have student loans and you have not done that. Eventually, as we already know, they've been working on attempting to get rid of the student loans. I don't know if get rid of is a proper verbiage to say, but bail out students or whatever they've done for everybody else, they're going to do it for students as well. It's just a matter of time. They've talked about, well, not talked about, as you can hear or seen, the airline industries where you got all these delays and cancellations and things of that nature because of pilots and flight attendants. Yes, they bailed them out. They gave them a ton of money during the COVID so that they wouldn't go under. They bailed out the banks, tons of money. They say these are essential shall we say, operations. Well, if you got no citizens, well, aren't we essential operators and operations too? But that's why I said, if we stop spending, if we wanted to send shockwaves through, it's not going to hurt the economy. Or they can keep saying whatever they want. No, we just letting them know. You're not going to keep playing us. You're not going to keep thinking that we're suckers. Well, they think we are anyway. But if we know what we know, we can get a much better, shall we say, playing cards. The hand that's being dealt to us could be much, much more in our favor. The house doesn't always have to win, even though it loves to win. And plus, it's taking home more already enough. So student loans is another opportunity that's out there to build credit without a credit card. Rent payments. Rent payments are, again, majority of the United States is paying rent. We're paying that rent. We're paying to individuals who do not give two hella beans about you. Sad to have to call everybody, lump them all into the same category, but I'm doing it. I'm lumping them all into the same category because they are slumlords. The United States government is the worst of all the slumlords. So it only sets the precedence for those who are looking to be a slumlord to be a slumlord. That's all it is. But you have to hold them accountable. If things are not being fixed, if things are not being updated, if things are not being repaired, if things are not going accordingly, if you've been promised certain things, you can hold that rent and you can force them to do what they need to do and let them take you to court. Please, I'm begging you, please, I will go with you. I'm not the Donald Trump who talk about I'll pay the whole thing. No, but I'll go with you. You can call me from anywhere. You can call me from. I'll walk you through every ounce of why you don't and should not pay a slumlord not one penny. And they all are slumlords. Yes, I lived in two of the most prestigious locations here in my city. And guess what? Slumlords operate them. One of them was a brand new establishment. Brand spanking new. The paint wasn't even dry on the wall. That's how new the situation was. But guess what they were? Slumlords. I'm not going to tell you who they were, but again, if you want to get deeper and dive deeper into that, let me know. I'll tell you exactly who they were. Slumlords. Hold these slumlords accountable for every ounce of money that you're giving them. If they're not reporting your rent too, hold that off as well. That's right. I'm telling you now, these are the things that we need to do because one of your biggest expenses is your rent. And they're not even going to do the due diligence of making sure that that piece that is supposed to secure your housing for the rest of your days until you decide to own something, and they're not even going to do that for you. Going back to the regulatory pieces that I already mentioned. We need to make sure that Congress understands this is a vital piece that must now apply to every single one of these credit reporting agencies, and that's how you are making your cost of living payments, meaning how you're paying your rent. And it needs to be added to your credit report every single cycle. Utility payments, another one, needs to be added. If I'm paying my cell phone bill, why is it that it only affects me if I choose not to pay AT&T, or if I choose not to pay Verizon, or if I choose not to pay Optimum? Why does it only affect me then when it should help me while I'm giving them my money? Because I don't have to give them my money. I'm choosing to use their services for whatever reason that I'm choosing. So they should report it in a positive as well. But this is how, again, goes back to that regulatory and enforcement piece that we must demand upon our governments to do their part. All right, subscription payments. We got all these subscriptions out there, every single one. I got Zoom. I got every one almost under the sun when it comes to educating our children. IXL, again, not calling them out because of I'm calling them out because of the exposure that they have to me, but I'm not saying that they necessarily have to do that. But some of these companies that do have a huge subscription base, I think they must do these types of things if it's going to help consumers with securing financial understandings that could come through these means. They must do this, and Congress, again, I'm calling you guys out to make sure that you are securing these methods, because these are methods that could help Black and brown, poor white folks, middle class, low income. It could help them with progressing and moving into a much better financial situation and condition. Credit builder loans. These are just another product. Again, a credit builder loan is a product specifically designed to help to build credit. It's a very useful tool for those with no credit or very low credit scores. All right. Unlike traditional loan products, you won't receive a lump sum principal payment up front. Instead, you'll start making payments right away. With each payment, the lender will save the principal portion of the payment in a specialized savings account or CD. Great products. The only thing that I'm going to make sure that you understand is that they report it on time. All right. It does you no good if you give them that money and they report it whenever they want to report it. There's a contractual understanding of when you have to make that payment and equally when they have to report it. And no matter which strategy you decide to use, whether you go with credit cards or whether you go with these traditional methods that don't require a credit card, you just got to make sure that they're reporting it on time. All right, becoming an authorized user. Now that one right there, I just dove into this one here, and it looks very promising. When you become an authorized user on a well-managed credit account, that can be a boom to your credit score. In some cases, you might have a family member or friend that is willing to add you as an authorized user to a credit account. All right, so please remember this. You don't get access to that credit card. You just benefit off of, again, well-managed credit account. And this is where I was telling individuals, there are brokers out there. I am now a broker that would allow for individuals to buy and sell credit user authorizations. Oh, that seems kind of shady, Mr. Glover. Let me tell you, it's actually 100% legal. Banks use it all the time. Okay? Businesses, business accounts, they use it all the time. Personal account, use it all the time. They use it amongst themselves. So why not broaden it amongst us, those who can truly benefit from it? This is, again, that leverage piece that I was referring to. Oh, is there some cost to it? No question. Always cost to everything, but we want to keep that cost minimal. So again, this is a great way. Becoming an authorized user is a great way to build credit in a short period of time because it only stays on there for a very short period of time for whatever it is that you're attempting to do. Say you want to buy a car, you need to have at least 7-year history with a 7-year history with a utilization around 30%. Boom, this is a great way to do that. If you couldn't achieve it on your own, this is just a great way to do that within a short period of time. So there are a lot of ways, different avenues, strategies to help you get to that next level. You just got to decide which one is going to work for you. But I can tell you right now, authorized user, based off of what I've heard, that's one of the fastest, quickest methods of allowing for you to build your credit very fast over a short period of time. And then you, from there, maintain and manage once you have achieved the ultimate goal of whatever it was that you were seeking to achieve. Buying a car, getting a credit card, getting a loan, whatever would be needed for you to achieve that would help you get there. Becoming an authorized user is a great way of doing it. Installment loans is another opportunity to potentially help you, along with buy now, pay later. So there are a variety of different ways that you can take to get to where you need to be. These trade lines are super critical and they help you out tremendously. Anybody who wants to dig deeper into how the credit recovery and trade line piece could link together, and there's a roadmap that would help you significantly. So consumers with bad credit, we would do all of the necessary work to compile all of that data, and then we would fit you properly with a primo situation that would allow for you to benefit off of both removing individual negatives off, which leaves the glass half full, and then reestablishing some new trade lines. when you go through the credit recovery piece, what it does is it removes, but it doesn't necessarily add. The trade line piece just adds more to it. And as we already know, time always comes and it goes so quick. So Think Unlimited is just another way for us to get new and critical, vital information out to you. As always, my name is Tyrone Glover, and I am your Dress Down CEO. You can find me on most of the websites out there. Unfortunately, Facebook, I just wanted to put it up there, but I'm no longer on Facebook. Please, if you are getting anything that's coming from Facebook, from myself, please make sure you do that report of impersonating somebody who's not. 805-428-9424 is my phone number. Here are the websites, Leverage Credit Recovery, for those who are still looking. And if you are ready to get started right away, shoot me an email through CoachCredit411, and our website is LeverageCreditRecovery.com. Thank you, everyone. As always, we appreciate you. We adore you. We all in this together. And the more we work together, the easier it's going to be for all of us to get out of these financial situations. I love you, and I appreciate you. Everyone, continue to be safe. Until next time.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.